I definitely want my child to see that I enjoy being their mother. I never really got that from my mum. Yes. There's so many but a few. Asterisk no to body/weight shaming or to demonizing food. I teach my girls health and self-acceptance by not talking SHT about my body and modeling being active with healthy eating habits that includes all kinds of food. Asterisk my daughters are free to express their thoughts and respectfully disagree with their father and I. They are individuals/human beings who we respect as such. Asterisk I never lay hands on my daughters. I refuse to normalize that someone who is supposed to love them will do that. Asterisk affection. I openly dote on them and affirm them. What's important to them is important to me. Asterisk I encourage autonomy and independence, but I want them to know that as long as I'm alive, they will never have to do or go through things alone. They can count on me to show up for them. Asterisk I ensure they know they are not a chore to me. I feel honored that I get to know and raise them. Asterisk I apologize and hold myself accountable to them. You sound like a very wonderful mother. Close bracket. I would let my kids have friends over either to play or stay the night. Missed out on a lot because my mum was too ashamed of the house. This hits home. Even my closest and longest friends have only been to my house maybe 5 times maximum. My dream is to host parties and hangouts for myself and for my kids someday. I resent the shame and guilt my mom pushed onto all of us growing up. A lot of these are the toxic traits they don't want to repeat. Meanwhile, I just want to make sure I have close friends and hang out with people and have more experiences. My mom doesn't have any buddies and never really did minus work acquaintances and doesn't really leave the house much on her own. I feel like my mom doesn't have much independence or a social life. I think it's important your kids see you enjoying life and people too. My mom's the same. She doesn't like a lot of her past friends and constantly reminds me that I'm her best friend. Fat shaming, negative focus and body image. Instead, I talk to my kids about making healthy choices. Passive aggressive BS. Always the victim card, not loving, negative. Let's just say my childhood was traumatic and I didn't hear that I was loved very often. I have clear memories of hoping to hear her say she loved me because I wanted to say the I love you too. My kids know I love them and they tell me all the time they love me too. I apologize to my kids when I lose my temper or make mistakes. I don't talk down to them like my mom did. I don't call them cruel hateful names. I don't tell them to go find someone who might want them. I make an honest effort on a daily basis to not be my mom. Me too. I think it's so damaging to hear stuff as a child. It's so painful. My mom used to tell me she loved me and that's why she told me had bigger thighs, shouldn't eat carbs and avoid sugar, that I needed to wear the kids XXL, even if it was too big. I don't want to be fully dependent on a man like my mother. She can't use GPS to navigate and only knows how to drive to a few places by heart. She doesn't know how to use the internet to purchase things. She doesn't pay bills. If my dad passes before her, she won't be able to fend for herself. And that's why she's stuck in a loveless marriage. I want to show my son what a loving household is and what it means for an adult too, adult. Self-sufficiency is so important. This happened to my grandmother. She was a 1950s housewife and did not know how to manage anything besides raising kids. When her husband passed, she was left with his affairs and now has no idea how to manage money, use the internet, or anything. She's completely helpless. I already broke the cycle and left my abuser while my mom is still married to my dad. Just wanted to say that you did a brave thing and I'm cheering you on. I'll never have kids, but I wouldn't constantly try to talk my kids out of their feelings. Gratitude is great, don't get me wrong, but it is okay and valid to be upset. It's okay to not smile all the time. A huge part of why my marriage failed is because when I was upset, I had no idea how to even communicate that. I squashed it down and I forced myself to be happy. When I couldn't do that anymore, I just stonewalled him because I didn't even know how to talk about being upset because no reason ever felt good enough. It's pretty fucked up to basically teach your kids that their feelings just shouldn't be felt. Yes, Quiet plus happy is not the same as respect and doing well. I'm trying to heal from this, and I'm scared her to be married and to have kids. FTM currently pregnant with a daughter, and I just hope she knows I'll think of her as her own person, and not just a toy doll I can put in cute clothing, and coddle and dump all my issues to. I think of my own mom as a little girl with no impulse, control in the body of a grown woman, who just wants to dress up her dollies, daughters, and use us an emotional crutch for all her many unchecked issues. I love my mom, but I just hope my own daughter never has these same thoughts about me. Can relate with your experience growing up. That's really wise to see your daughter as an individual and her own person. A lot of people don't think that way about their kids. To respect their privacy. My phone was constantly raided, and my diary is always read by my mother and just resulted in me becoming a sneaky little sh*t. I will never forget the betrayal of my mom reading my journal. I live alone and still struggle to write. I would like to be more positive about myself to set a good example. The prospect of becoming a mom is something that really motivates me to be kinder to myself. My mom has never, intentionally, body shamed me and often compliments me, but how was I supposed to learn self-love when she was constantly disparaging her own appearance? Everyone was always telling me how much I looked like my mother, so I think I started internalizing every mean thing she said about herself. I never want to cause the same issues for my children. The second my parents got divorced, my mom went from super mom to treating me like I was the biggest burden in the world. She complained about everything. Every meal she cooked, driving us to school, buying groceries, how it was unfair she had to work, etc. She also was constantly sighing and rolling her eyes and going out of her way to show that she was annoyed/stressed. She complained about money and my dad not giving her enough child support to me 24/7. I was 10. Side note, my dad had us 50% of time and paid all our bills and gave her $1,000 a month. If I ever had a kid, I would never let them feel like their existence/me having to take care of them was a burden. I would never let them feel like they were unwanted because of divorce or for any other reason. Not to label food as good or bad, to ensure a healthy relationship with food. I've been struggling with food and eds since I was 14, and only now at the age of 25 I can finally buy myself a chocolate when I feel like it and be happy about it. I don't want that struggle for my children. My mother has zero emotional intelligence and thinks she's right about everything and is incapable of understanding that people who think differently than her exist. My child will be their own person who is loved for whoever they decide to be, not a doll I wish to live through and control. I won't be an abusive person. Things I don't want to carry on. 1. Will tear you down in the name of being realistic and just having a massively negative impact on everything. I hesitate now to tell her anything good because I'm afraid to hear her response. Even my wedding photos, I had to ask her in advance not to criticize me because she often does. 2. Cold and distant. I could probably count on my fingers and toes the hugs/kisses/I love yous that I received as a child. She says she regrets it now, and it was a product of her own upbringing. 3. Not have too many kids, I guess, because as the fourth I was pretty much on my own. She was too tired and too impatient to be bothered